Now I'm ready. Welcome to Indie Games Glam with Nat. I'm Nat, or short for Natasha, and I'm more than happy to share my journey and overall experiences as indie game developer for the past 8 years, as well as academic and along with many other hats. Before I properly introduce myself, I want to first tell you what this channel is all about and why I'm starting it now, even after consideration for many years, as people from the industry have been asking me to start this channel, which was quite many students as well. So it was an overwhelming amount of requests, and here I am. It is terrifying, but I am listening, and this is all for you. It is possible to have completely independent, self-financed and self-sufficient studio on your own. And hey, if I could do it, anyone can do it. What I want to share with you is all about game development, from game design, art direction, but also the business side of things, as well as how to self-publish and self-finance your games, or if you are making a publishing agreement, what to be aware of, where and how to find the right publisher for you, as well as investors or any other kind of partnerships, depending on what your team and your product you see fitting in the market and in which way, for what audience. As a big nerd and bookworm, I will also be doing reviews on books and other resources for game developers, and give some recommendations as well, since I have been finding a lot of material, of course, online as well as in the printed format, which helped me a lot in my work and career. While at the same time, these are the things that I want to focus in this channel. Of course, I want to hear what you would like me to cover when it comes to topics, when it comes to very specific questions that you might have. But also what I want to clarify is what I don't want to do. I think it's really important to also create certain boundaries. One thing that I don't want to do are tutorials. Not because I love tutorials. There are so many incredible tutorials out there. If you want me to do some tutorial on a specific thing, absolutely, then I will do it. But I don't want this channel to become a tutorial channel, because there are so many better tutorial channels out there, and I'm more than happy to refer to them. And we can even have interviews with their creators. Generally, the structure will be so that I will be posting every other Thursday, and each episode will be, I will try, of course, to already say what to expect in the next episode. There are so many events, there are so many other things happening, plus the world is what it is, so it is important to also keep up, and I do want to share industry news and what is the hot stuff, especially for the indie developers. Usually the episode will be the topic, my take on it, and then additional resources on that topic, as well as what are the newest hot things happening in the industry at that particular moment. I also want to share what not to miss as an indie dev, and also how to even start in this whole endeavor of starting your own studio, what to try to avoid from the very beginning, regardless of the region from which you are starting your business. There are differences, of course, it can be also even country-specific differences. If there are any questions per se that you think I can assist with, then of course, again, fill in the form. Otherwise, I will do my best with colleagues from the industry to actually answer these as we go down the road. Now, who I am and why me and why this channel? Oh boy. So, long story short, I have flipped the table from my previous career in cultural history and generally classical arts. By my official higher education, I am the traditional classical painter. I finished my master's at Faculty of Applied Arts at University of Arts in Belgrade, Serbia, where I'm from. I grew up and finished my schooling and everything else in Belgrade. And then about 17 years ago, I moved to Finland. As an artist, especially in more traditional type of training and education, it is quite interesting to step into a completely digital world. Although for me it wasn't so hard, since I did have a double degree in also graphic design. when I moved to Finland, even that I started my very first studio called Ars Parietis, stands for Art of Walls. In Finland, just like in the rest of the Nordics, let's say the high art does not really exist. Nordics are really big on the design, but the actual art, I mean, people buy stuff in IKEA and they call it art. So this is what it is. So basically, I did still have a lot of work and client when it comes to the my studio, but it was a solitary. It was very, very solo work, which again I didn't mind at the time. However, when I started working especially as a concept artist and 2D artist for some other game companies in the region, since I am a hardcore gamer my whole life, and I never dreamed that I could be working in games industry and with the game developers. But that's one thing that I also want to highlight in this channel, is that knowledge and your passion and things that you are actually interested in and what sparks joy in you is something that you can transfer from one discipline to another. And that's exactly where my strength in the game development came, that my approach to visual storytelling, interactive storytelling, getting that adopting from one medium to another, and plus with my training, like artistic training, to be able to do pretty much as a professional artist any art style, any kind of like from the, again, especially in the digital, which is so much easier to do than the traditional. And I know now artists are gonna attack me in the comments. Come on, guys, like seriously, it is so much. First of all, we have Control Z, like come on. You don't have that when you're doing fresco and everything is literally in millisecond there, depending how chemical things will be happening on the wall. So things are of course different, and I started really enjoying working with other teams and seeing that, like having this whole, I'm not working solo anymore. It is the whole project is under this vision of so many people and everyone is contributing in their own ways. So that's where I completely decided to then switch from my previous work, even that I was finishing my doctorate in art history and museology on the topic of art, copies and replicas. And working in that field especially, one big thing was about IPs and licensing, which is especially when you think about art, copies, replicas, and how also museums, but generally what their role in cultural heritage and so forth. My experience working with IPs and knowing what it means and how licensing works, and in so many different levels, because I was also even working with police department in Vanta with their forgery museum and so forth. So I was analyzing some of their forgeries there, and all of that now I could transfer in games industry when working on third-party IPs. And this is where also I love talking about IPs, because I have noticed that quite often young teams and indie developers also really lack knowledge on the IPs, intellectual property, and what kind of power you have when it comes to IPs. So when I switched my career fully to games, I was working first in several companies, well, first as a freelancer, but then as an employee. And then 8 years ago, to kind of, again, cut short, I started my own company together with 3 other co-founders. And since then, the rest is history. I would not imagine anything else or to be anywhere else than having our own studio, which now it grew to over 20 people, and we are really, really proud of the talent and the ways how our team functions as one. Besides my indie endeavors, which of course this channel will be all about, since this is intro episode, I also want to talk a bit about my academic side, since I have been associated with University of Turku for now 15 years, and I have been teaching variety of courses. In the most recent, let's say for last decade or so, I have been mainly teaching game design and digital art and interactive experiences. And from few recent years, I also started teaching quantum computing hands-on, which is more like how to use the quantum technology as non-physicist and also as, like just a regular developer. But don't worry, I won't bother you and bore you with that, as it is also part of my doctoral studies, which I'm now in the final stages. So I'm most likely going to defend my thesis in the upcoming months. Let's see. Don't want to, at the moment, don't want to think about it. As a teacher, as a developer, as someone who has been very active also with the game communities here in Finland and internationally, especially with the IGDA. For those who don't know what IGDA is, it stands for International Game Developers Association. Link in description as well. I will be always putting links with about everything I'm talking about in these episodes so that you can check it more. And in Finland, as IGDA Finland has its own chapter, it's one of the biggest and most active chapters in the world, although there is over 150 chapters and special interest groups out there. So please go to igda.org and check if there is locally, like near you, some chapter or SIG representative, which definitely there is, because this is insanely big global community of developers. And it's a volunteer work, so something that I have very passionate about to give back, because it is really great to work and be able to also help others in their endeavors, in their stories, and getting to the place in career or in life where they would like to be. Games bring people together, cross disciplines, cross borders. It is really a medium of not just expression as artistic expression, but also medium where we connect on a really deep level. And that's why it is important that developers are also really closely working together, and in this in particular, because we are stronger together, and that's the only way how we can really thrive with our own individual, artistic expressions, as well as supporting others around us, and especially for those who need it most or whose voices are not being heard as much or even being allowed to be heard. Maybe now to have another disclaimer is to say that in this channel, at least, there will be a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and especially accessibility, and making sure that how, even as an indie, you can make sure that there is an actual day and accessibility work which doesn't take extra effort. So it's really something that becomes a norm, and that's something that I truly believe that if you just create certain mindset and practices, this is something that it's not going to be an extra task. It is just going to come naturally. And I can tell you that's exactly what happened in my work throughout the years, and shouldn't be an issue for others either. Now, why to become an indie developer? So many reasons. First of all, quite often I'm being asked by mentees or students and so forth, but isn't it hard to be an indie dev? That must be really hard. But, well, yeah, but it's not harder than working at some other studio, especially if you're working in corporation with really big structure and there are all sorts of pressures and expectations and whatnot. So I mean, been there, done that, and I can tell you that sometimes it's much better to, even if you're facing a challenge, you are surrounded with people that you truly trust, and then together you are figuring out the ways how to overcome it. While in corporation, not necessarily anyone is even listening to you, even if you see that, hey, there might be this and that, no, there might be different steps they take. And also another thing that it's but where's the money in indie? Money is everywhere. There's so many ways to make money as an indie developer. And this is something that I will be using MyTale as our company as an example, to show you what different ways you can do to generate revenue, generate income, and create sustainable growth. And by growth, I mean really something to secure you and your team no matter what happens with the market, no matter what happens with politics, no matter what happens with basically anything else, that you are in charge and being aware and being safe, no matter what ripples are happening around you. And I know this sounds like, oh, this kind of like, no way to do that. There is a way, there are many ways. And that's one thing that I hope this channel will be bringing, just an awareness. I'm not going to ever tell you what to do, how to do, and this is the way to do. Far from. What I want to share with you is possibly other angles to even very common challenges that you might have yourself even already faced, but not necessarily considered when working on specific, again, task at hand. Because we usually listen to the gurus at accelerators and incubators and whatever other programs, or on YouTube, like the creators. Like everyone has everyone has very strong opinion on, if you do this and this and then that's going to happen. Well, yes and no. Like what we definitely can say is that what worked for one team or for one product doesn't mean it's going to work for another. And the reason behind it doesn't have to be even that it's, like that they did something wrong. It can be literally timing. It can be just the wrong time for that thing on, and it might be even the wrong region where they maybe soft launch or did the soft launch or some sort of early access or whatever else, or it could be platform, launching on a wrong platform instead of some other to kick off and then put it on other platforms. Like there is a luck involved a lot as well, but one should not count on luck, of course. So one thing to be aware of is that there are other ways, and I do hope that at least through our discussions, because I don't want to have monologues towards you, even that it will be mostly monologues in a sense of videos, but I do want to have a discourse. I want to have a dialogue where, with your questions, with your comments, I will be I would love to answer. I would love to comment forward and continue on whichever topic you think would be most beneficial. But you can create sustainable business from thin air without even seed round or without any investment whatsoever. And again, when I did this together with my team 8 years ago, I remember talking with fellow devs from the local Finnish industry. And when I described what we want to do with our company, like business strategy, because here in Finland everyone is very open, which is a very unique thing, and we have a full support between developers and lots of trust. So yeah, of course, I was like, yeah, I'm starting my studio, and this is what we were thinking. This is what kind of company culture we are starting from, which was very important for all of us at the time, to really establish company culture above everything else. And I remember quite many devs were looking at me and be like, haha, you won't be, we won't last 6 months, which is like, you know what, even if we don't, so what? Like at least we tried something different. But at the same time, not only that it was 4 of us when we started, not only that we survived, we also had profitable very first year as well as every other year forward. And even later when we were creating actually bigger profit, we could invest that money into building our own games further and so forth. I will be telling more about our business, let's say, development and stages and mistakes we made, and as well as good decisions we made and so forth throughout the years. So my tale will be definitely guinea pig for me and my also colleagues, because I will have some of these interviews with my team members joining these episodes, so we can tell more about from each perspective what and how has been going on. So as promised, for this intro, I won't go further than this when it comes to games and business development, more just to say big hello and welcome to this channel, and again, what to expect. First things first, there is a new podcast by IGDA called IGDA Unscripted, and we have the very first episode also launched last Friday, which you can check, again, link in description, where you can check about us parents who have also children with different kind of neurospicy needs and so on, because neurodiversity in our industry is extremely present. And not just that, our kids and families as well, other family members also might be a bit of neurospicy. So it's really important that we also discuss this, and also how to keep with whole creative side and balance work and life and everything else that comes around. What to expect in 2025, at least some of the really big things coming up in Finnish games industry. Finnish Games Week in October, that's one of the big dates that I want you already to mark. From 6th to 10th of October in Helsinki, we have Finnish Games Week, which is 5 days of conferences. So we start Monday with IGDA Finland Leadership Day, then Tuesday, Wednesday will be Pocket Gamer Connect Helsinki, and then Thursday, Friday, We Love Games Conference. This is the week you want to be in Helsinki. So if possible, already book the dates, but also check the travel accommodations and so forth. I'm more than happy to give you any tips and recommendations as well. Especially for indies, there will be a lot of good programs and opportunities, so keep an eye. I will be sharing all of that, of course, in this channel, as well as on We Love Games and Finnish Games Week websites.